Welcome to ALAR 810, a research studio titled Surveillance State, taught by Bradley Cantrell, Professor and Chair of Landscape Architecture, and Michael Lee, the Reuben M. Rainey Professor in the History of Landscape Architecture. This research studio focuses on the discipline of landscape architecture, but is also open to all students. The studio meets Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 1700 in an online format. Anyone enrolled in this studio will also need to enroll in the Greater Berlin Seminar, LAR 7500, which meets on Mondays in an online format from 10 to 12:30. So Surveillance State, the title of the studio, proposes that the contemporary human condition is under constant surveillance through multiplicitous infrastructures that are accessing our interactions with and without our permission, to produce data that feeds the entertainment, relationships, and logistics of our lives. Concepts such as privacy and autonomy are no longer central to the Western concept of freedom. Instead, privacy is obscured as it is wrapped in corporate media platforms and hidden agendas that promise further convenience and connectivity. Not only are we surveilled in real time, but the data we produce is scoured by machine learning algorithms looking into our previous behaviors to find predictable patterns and unknown relationships. Our histories and relationships are evolving as we are training and being trained by the algorithms that predict our choices, which are lubricating the mechanisms of the market. What does this mean for the future of the contemporary city and the lives of its inhabitants? If we are monitoring more and more data points and developing models to find correlations between phenomena, how does this affect the landscape of our cities, particularly at a time when these technologies are pushing for further cultural homogeneity and the mapped connections can be weaponized to diminish dissent? As spatial designers, in this studio, we will develop a body of research that clearly articulates this new surveillance state, a state that is hidden in the recesses of our phones and digital assistants, our traffic cameras and facial recognition, and even in our continual recording of the Earth's surface via satellite imagery and local sensing. The body of research will focus on the landscape of the contemporary city, diving into the recent history of Berlin, Germany, to understand how surveillance has played a role in the history and present cultural attitudes. As mentioned, this research studio will be taught in conjunction with the Greater Berlin Seminar, which is a required course taught by Professor Michael Lee. The seminar will provide a historical and theoretical background for the city of Berlin and examine how film has produced an image of a technocultural urbanism. In parallel to the seminar, the studio will develop a body of research that frames a series of contemporary case studies in surveillance techniques and methods, deploy image analysis to produce mappings of the city, and to then propose landscapes that are explored through singular views of a contemporary or future Berlin. The research aims to provide a critique for the proposition of the smart city through the lens of human experience and how nascent technologies are providing new experiential platforms while also ushering in regimes for the control of the citizens of the state. The studio relies on a co-learning approach. This is for the development of this body of research, the review of the work, and the dissemination of the final products. In this, co-learning hinges upon the concept that we are learning as a group, working together to develop an intellectual product that is the product of our collective knowledge. The studio pushes against the concept of the single author, and we will work collaboratively while also working remotely to produce the research, analysis, and propositions that will shape our collective critique or possible acknowledgement of a surveillance-laden technocultural future. The studio will be taught in 3 phases. The first will be this initial research phase, where we will look deeply into methods of surveillance. The second is an analytical phase, where we'll begin mapping the city, and we'll use image analysis and web mapping and understand a little bit about machine learning in this process. And the third is the development of propositions, and this will be to produce collective imagery as well as films that begin to make propositions about the future of Berlin. In the studio, we'll also look at a range of tools. So in order to kind of dive into this work, we'll look at web mapping and have workshops about web mapping, machine learning, image analysis, data processing, forms of real-time environments, motion graphics, compositing, as well as map painting. I thank you for your taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Michael Lee. We look forward to working with you this semester. Thank you.